Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be building a wavy flag out of wood. This is going to be donated to St. Jude and hopefully it will raise a decent amount of money, I'm guessing, to go towards their cause. So it's going to a good cause. But I've got everything milled down up to this point. I didn't figure you'd want to go through all the boringness of watching me make a board square. So I just hadn't cut it down to length yet. But what happened was, you can see, I'll scoot over here. When I was running it through my planer, all this dust right here and shavings is supposed to be in here, and it's not full, so I don't know what happened. I don't know if it's clogged up somewhere or what, but I've got to figure that out before I go any further. But I'll go ahead and tell you what you're going to need. You're going to need 13 of these boards. I'm sorry, you're going to need 6 of these boards at 37 inches long. And you're going to need 7 of these boards at 37 1/4. The quarter is depending on your blade. If you have a thin curved blade, just make it 37 and whatever your blade width is. Mine is a 1/4 inch, so I need that extra quarter. But you should have 13 boards altogether because there's 13 stripes on the flag. I've got 14 here. I'm gonna make 1 extra just in case I mess up. I'd encourage you to do the same. Alrighty, I have all my boards cut down to, these 6s are 37 inches long, and these 7 are 37 1/8 inches long. They're 1/8 of an inch longer. Because what's going to happen is when I cut out the part for the stars, it's going to cut 1/8 of an inch out, and then this will be exactly perfect. So when you're milling down your boards, keep them long, because if you're going to run them through a planer, it's going to leave snipe on each end, and what's going to happen is if you have snipe on it and you try to use it as a board, it actually leaves a divot right here. So you'll have a divot here. It may not be on every board, but it's gonna be on some. So when you glue it together, it's not gonna meet up right there. And you don't want that. You want this to be pretty much seamless by the time you get done with it. But that's the goal anyway. So I'm gonna get these cut down and then we'll clamp it up. All right, here's what we've got so far. We've got 6 of those at 37 inches. We've got 7 of these. These are the short ones you're going to cut. You're going to have 13 inches on that. And then these are 24 inches. That's what it's going to look like as of right now. So right here, make sure this is square with your table so this will line up square. I clamped it down so I have something to push this up against. Push these guys up against here. Make sure you have a flat table because it needs to be flat. And when you're laying these out, make sure most of your big knots go on the bottom. That way, because you're fixing to carve all this out and you don't want knots showing up that you have to try to fill or keep carving deeper into the wood. So put all your big knots at the bottom. And then once you get this all pushed up and straight together, get you some pieces of wood. And stick them here. And the reason you're putting wood here, number 1, is so your clamps don't mess up the tops and bottoms of this thing. Number 2, and you'll see when I start carving it, when you start carving, you don't want one of your clamps to be right here, so you don't carve into your clamp and mess it up. So just get you some pieces of wood and put right there. And you're gonna clamp it from the top first, and then we're gonna flip it over and we're gonna clamp it from the bottom.
All right.
Now we're going to flip it over and we're going to clamp it from the bottom side. That way we can take these clamps off and we can carve all this out. This is what we've got so far. I went ahead and clamped it up from the bottom. You want it clamped up from the bottom, of course, so you can carve out this top piece. So you can make your waves any way you want to. If you want a gentle breeze blowing on your flag, you can do light curves on it. If your flag's in a tornado somewhere, you can make it wild if you want. It's up to you, however you want to do it. It's your flag, it's your wood, do it how you want. And then you just take a pencil and you draw some lines on it, however you want your waves to be.
You can always erase these if it's not like you want it.
That's going to be our waves. So what you're going to do, if I can't get it over here so you can see it. What you're going to do, I've got a line here, I've got a line here, I got one here, 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 and here. You're going to carve out, you're going to leave, these is going to be your mountain areas, and where the pencil line's not at is going to be your valley area. So you're going to carve down in the valleys and leave the pencil marks up, and then you'll just sand over it. But you'll see. It's been a while since I built one of these. When I first built, I think I've built 3 or 4 of them, I believe. And I can't hardly remember how I did it. It's been so long. But I do remember when I did, don't try this at home. When I cut my valleys out, I used a skill saw and I turned it sideways, and it was dangerous, and I don't recommend anybody doing it because I was stupid doing it, but it worked. And then I come back with some sandpaper and just sanded everything down. But it'll be pretty when it gets done. This is the first time I've used this blade. I don't know what it's called, but it sure beats using a skill saw turned sideways. First time though, I just did that little bitty piece just to see if I could do it without messing up before I showed y'all. So I'm gonna show you what it does. Remember, we're staying in between the lines, we're leaving the lines. So you get the drift of what I'm doing, I believe. Let's see. It ain't gonna look too pretty yet because we've got to knock out all this stuff for the valleys, got to knock it all out. Then we got to come back and smooth it out and sand it. And then it'll be one flowy piece of wood. I'm gonna go ahead and work on that. Right now, this is what it should look like, kinda. It's really, really rough, but we're gonna sand that down. But what we're gonna do first, I didn't do this on my last ones, I don't believe, but what we're gonna do is we're gonna turn it over, we're gonna draw some lines on the bottom, and then we're gonna put some biscuits in there. and then we're going to put it back together and sand it down. That should help with the alignment, because that's the hardest thing of getting this thing back together, is getting everything back aligned right. So we're going to try that and see if it works. If not, I'll trash it and start over. All right, so we're going to put these biscuit joints in here, and what that's going to do, you see, what it's going to do is going to cut these slots in here. We're going to take these little biscuits, we're going to put these in here, and you can do the same on the other side, and what it'll do is it'll slip in together like this. And what it'll do, it'll stop it from moving this way. It'll still go this way, but we're going to fix that when we put it together. But it'll stop it from coming up and down. So it should line up exactly right after we get that done. Once we get it all smoothed out, should come together right. Let's get these lines drawn. You're just gonna just mark a line straight down it. That way you can get all your slots in the same spot.
Two over here where the stars go. And then 3 over on this side. And we're going to take it apart, which is the same part.
Then all you do is you line this little line right here, line it up with your line. And it leaves a slot. And then we're going to do that on every single line. I've got all my slots cut. If you go this route with the biscuit joiner, remember, just on the very top one, don't do the top, because it'll mess it up. Don't do like me. This is the bottom. I messed up and put 2 of them on the very bottom, which is no big deal because it's on the bottom and it won't be seen unless it's hung up. And even if it's hung up, it's still not going to be seen. So I might fill them up, I might not fill them up, I don't know, we'll see. But anyway, all you're going to do, now you're not gluing any of this together. All we're doing is dry fitting this. So once you sand it down and then you do glue it together, it's going to go back in the exact same spot. So all it's going to do, make sure I can see all this. All it's going to do is fit together just like this. Like I say, it can still move side to side like this, but it can't move up and down, and that's what we want. We don't want it to move up and down when we put it back together after we sand it all. So just go along, put all your biscuits in, put it all together. And then we're going to clamp it back up, and then we're going to sand it smooth, and then we'll go from there. All right, I got all my biscuits in. I've got it all lined back up this way. I've got it all clamped back up. What I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna hit it with a 60 grit flapper wheel. Give it a little love. But I'm gonna smooth out all this as much as I can with this. I'm gonna move over to my random orbital sander, and I'm gonna hit it with, I got 80, 120, 180, and I'll probably go all the way up to 220. And see what happens. Make sure you wear this. Not mine, but your own. All right, you can see with just the 60 grit sandpaper is already smoothing it out. I'm gonna go ahead and finish all this, and I'll show you what it looks like in a little bit. This is what it looks like through 120 grit. I did 80 grit, 120 grit. I'm still gonna do 180 grit and 220 grit. If you paint it, I would say you wouldn't need to do it that smooth, but I'm gonna stain mine, so I want it smooth. That's gonna be it for this particular video. I've got other stuff I gotta get done, and I gotta work this week, and then I'll finish it next weekend, hopefully, and put that video out also. And remember, if you like this kind of content, like and subscribe. I'd appreciate it.